Windrunner at your service. Time for target practice.
Welcome back to our opening match of the day. We're going to have First Departure up against Rattlesnake coming up soon. We've got two fantastic teams. We've got Rattlesnake from China taking on the Singaporean challengers in First Departure. And really, First Departure, it's their time to make a statement. It's a tough matchup for them, especially in their opening match at that. Rattlesnake, well, Lumi, they're the favorites here.
Yeah, they definitely are. Even though they're not, IG, they're not LG China or Vichy Gaming, they're definitely the more well-known team. They could take a couple of games off really, really good teams. FD, have you heard of them? Well, they're on Compendium. I mean,
not on my Compendium, but
I speak for the common Dota viewers out there that who's
saying,
FD?
He's saying, have you guys, the viewers, heard of them? Because
Fairy
of course,
Dragon.
we at Beyond the Summit have heard of them.
It's the Fairy Dragon.
Fairy Dragon.
Fairy Dragons.
Everybody knows. Puck.
But, okay.
Fans of Dendy. That's FD.
Dendy fan. Anyways, we'll take a quick look at the two rosters of the team. We've got the Chinese Rattlesnake up against the Singaporean First Departure. Wow, man, Rattlesnake, they are looking sharp in their purple jerseys there.
Meanwhile, these guys are at the mall.
They just won, man. They're holding a big fat check, so they've got to be good.
But it's probably at the mall, though, right? I don't know.
I don't know.
One of these teams paid a photographer. One of them did not.
Right. One of them had like an iPhone camera, so
Too busy winning money. But without that said, let's take a look at these the boys in purple. Rattlesnake, the team led by their captain Icy. We have got him playing that carry role. We've got the next player on the Rattlesnake side, which is our two-position player. We've got Luo Youngki. Luo, known for some recent Solo Mid Alchemist. I mean, I was talking about the Solo Mid Alchemist. He's been the one actually playing that role and doing pretty damn fantastic at that.
he's also known for Ogre Magi, which blows my mind.
Team sent me this. I'm hoping to see some Ogre Magi.
Me too.
And two position at that. This I have to see.
Is this a solo mid ogre? Well, we'll have to wait.
Who's up next for Rattlesnake? We have got our three-position player, I believe, which is going to be Lam or Lan M, known for Pudge.
He's known for a lot of other heroes. I haven't seen a Pudge for a while, though.
All the skill shot heroes.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody fucked up. Where is Tiny? Let's be serious here, guys.
Everyone's
I mean, we've already fired God, so I mean, he's gone after today.
He's on the
Who's
screen.
next?
He's just really tiny. See what I did there? No?
Oh,
No? Okay.
I'm on to you.
All right. Next up.
The fun fact was about his tiny, so we're set. We're good. Kabu, who's been playing some fantastic clockworks as of late of Rattlesnake, although has been sort of switched back towards that more support-based role on the team with their new style, their new bit of play here. He's playing that 4 position, and then that leaves us with our final Rattlesnake member, the hard support player, which is Sag Heart M. Former player from Nirvana, China. For those of you Dota 1 fans, used to go under the name of Neo. Lumi probably casted a few of his games like 6 or 7 years ago.
Neo Earthshaker is legit, and I hope that we're going to see some Earthshaker play, because that's a hero that we haven't seen too much lately. And, well, that's one of his most well-known heroes, and hopefully he'll pick that today.
Okay, well, when this team, I mean, with their powers combined, we have ourselves a pretty strong composition of rosters. This is, whoa, hexagons.
That's a very filled-out
We
hexagon.
understand geometry here at Beyond the Summit. That's why our logo is 3 triangles.
I want to make this clear. This hexagon took us a good 2 hours to draw.
How much
Just
of the
to draw it, not to
40,000
design it.
went into this hexagon?
Probably a good 3 to 4%.
Okay. That's a very expensive hexagon.
I think it was more than that, Gods. Not going to lie.
Wow.
I do the accounting. I can tell you it was more than 3 to 4%.
Well, I mean, look at this. It tells us Rattlesnake rated very high on drafting. I think it's one of those things with drafting, they're unpredictable. They've got some great team fight abilities. They've got some pretty strong individual skill. They're all around a strong team. I mean, this shows it. I think we just made up these numbers ourselves. We decided they're a strong team. We gave them some good drafting. I think I actually set this because I love their draft, so I've scored them 9 out of 10. Anyways, let's move on to our next team. You guys have nothing to say. I thought you guys were like going to start talking shit.
No, that's cool.
You guys are just going to... I'm going to ask questions. You guys are going to say
I mean,
nothing.
do I have to carry the analyst panel here? I'm supposed to be casting with my man Merlini. We're just trying to chill, relax. We'll do our job once they hopefully do theirs. But over in the corner, it's kind of bumming around. So, I mean, for me, the story with Rattlesnake, it's Kabu. Kabu and his clockwork. When he gets his clockwork, this team does not lose. I actually don't think they've lost a game with clockwork. If they have, I haven't cast it, so it doesn't count. But in all honesty, it's a team that loves to be aggressive, much more so than other Chinese teams. It's a... Merlini, you're going to enjoy it, because I know you kind of prefer Western Dota. It's more action-packed. It's more aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
Rattlesnake is going to deliver that. But on the other side, we have First Departure, and this is, well, let's just say they're not an aggressive team. So this is where we talk about First Departure.
Yeah,
there we go.
Let's take a look at First Departure, the team that a lot of people probably may not be as familiar with. With that said, they've been playing in a few more tournaments broadcasted by us than their Chinese counterparts, Rattlesnake. Their most famous player here at Miracle, he was actually a stand-in for Team Zenith back in the G1 League, well, not the LAN finals, the G1 League online portion when they were missing XY when he went on holidays. He stood in for them. He is one of the best premier carry players in Southeast Asia. He's basically the Burning of Singapore. He farms a lot. He loves to split push, known for his anti-mage, his Morphling, as well as his Naga Siren. He plays those farm heavy heroes, and he does them pretty damn well.
You said 2 words, Gods, and I'm going to hold you to them. Split push. I have pubbed with Miracle. He can play Lina. He can play Rubik. He can play Crystal frickin' Maiden. It does not matter. He will not come to team fights unless you drag him there kicking and screaming. He will split push you to death, or he will die trying. It is really what this team's built around.
Yeah, well, next up on the First Departure side, we've got this handsome fella, and that is Pelosin, their solo mid extraordinaire. He was actually the other player who played as a stand-in for Team Zenith. We've got him known for his Magnus, his Puck, as well as to a lesser extent his Tinker, but to me, the one hero we see him on really frequently is that Magnus. Definitely a hero we look to see First Departure pick up here in their opening match up against Team Rattlesnake. Next up on Team First Departure, we've got, I believe, their offlane player, who is going under the name of Hannah, known for his Lone Druid, his Clockwork, his Darkseer, another Singaporean upcoming player. The thing to me that gets me about this First Departure team is they're so young. Most of these guys are sort of 17, 18, 19. I think their oldest player is 19 years old, and they have some serious talent, Lumi.
Yeah, they do. And again, this is a team that I wouldn't bet money against because I know so little about them. The players are really, really good, though. Miracle, the split push that's built around him. But I think we're going to go through the rest of the team here.
Yeah, next player over on the First Departure side. Let's look at the players who keep everything together. The 2 support players. We've got Scripted, who's playing that 4-position support. Every now and then we'll pull out that Jungle Chen, Rubik, as well as Chaos Knight, actually one of his signature heroes here. And then finally, the 5-position support player for this Singaporean team. It's none other than Lubby. He's been around for a long time on this team, and he plays that support role so consistently. He's so reliable. If anything, the weak links for me with this First Departure team that are sometimes hit or miss, as famous as Miracle and Pelosin are, they're very hit or miss. They have their good games, they have their bad games, and often it's their performances which can decide the outcome of these matches. So, as far as how the team comes together and how they look, let's see some more pretty hexagons. Come on, we can do it.
Oh,
Draw them hexagons.
Yeah.
That is a sexy hexagon.
That's a 5 on experience.
They're a young team.
They got no experience.
Are you saying it should be 3 or 4?
This is why we bring you in, to interpret the hexagon.
I know. They're
My
like
God, this man is a genius.
They're like the version of Pro Dota.
We needed a $2,000 hexagon analyst to go with our $5,000 hexagons.
I know my geometry too.
Good.
Lumi doesn't come cheap.
Yeah. In more than one way.
But to echo what God said, they're an inexperienced team. You look at First Departure, a ton of talent, a ton of potential, a team that when they first sort of burst onto the scene was taking games off of Zenith, Orange, and MUFC, your big Southeast Asian powerhouses, and even when they were losing, was pushing them to the brink, Merlini. But it's one thing to do that in your first few matches and sort of your honeymoon period. It's another thing to keep on doing that consistently as your team sticks around longer.
Yeah, now that people have figured out what they do, what they're known for, or what Miracle does, which is a split push all day long, I think it'll be easier for teams to try and counter their strategy. But I'm interested to see if they have any new strategies coming into this TI3 qualifiers, because they really need to pull out all the stops if they want to beat a team.
And against a team like Rattlesnake, Rattlesnake is going to take the fight to you. You try to split push, if you ever get caught out of position, bam, you're dead. While you're not split pushing, they're taking the tower, they're warding for Roche, they're preventing you from farming the jungle because they're getting aggressive wards up. I feel that split push style, what God's mentioned, it's harder to execute because you lose one or two fights. Your team can't really take a direct clash. When you pick something like an anti-mage, you live by the split push, and then you die by it. There's really no plan B.
Yeah, and to me, the big thing here is Rattlesnake. A normal team going against First Departure, you think the go-to strategy is maybe, hey, let's shut down Miracle. He's their key player. But I think a team like Rattlesnake will say, let's just be really aggressive. Let's just group up as 5 really early on. They're not going to worry too much about Miracle farming because they know they can control and do really well in that early to mid-game stage. And that's something which, for First Departure, it's going to be a real test to see how they deal with that early aggression. I feel if they lose that first game and lose it fast, it can be a very quick 2-0 sweep. But if they hold their own in game 1, and if they potentially even take that game, then we're in for a really great series. And that's something I'd love to see here in our opening match.
Yeah, I mean, they just have the weapons, the heroes that could do it. We talked about Clockwork, we talked about Solomon Alchemist. These are some very early game aggressive hero. And it would surprise me if they don't go to that strat, pick off Miracle early, or force him to farm in very terrible spots on the map, and just force it to him. They are the more experienced team. They could easily win 2-0, or we go to the best of 3 and see how things go.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is going to be how the draft pans out. I'm sure both these two teams have done a lot of their research. They've had plenty of time to prepare. They've known their group for at least the last week or so. They've known their matchups. So for First Departure, they look at Rattlesnake's recent matches, seeing what kind of heroes they play. They'll see that Solomon Alchemist. And as for Rattlesnake, they'll look at First Departure's history and say, okay, they like to split push. Let's stick with the Clockwork. You mentioned the Kabu Clockwork. Perfect hero to have against a team that likes to split push. Great for getting those pickoffs if you're going for a Tinker, a Nature's Prophet, an Anti-Mage carry, whatever it may be. So I think a lot's going to be set. The tempo of the match is going to be set by this draft here in game number 1.
Yep, and of course, you awarded them 9 points of drafting, so they're pretty good at that too. So
yeah.
we'll see how the game go. Again, final predictions here, maybe?
Yeah, final predictions for me, I would say, I want to give First Departure a bit of credit, and I think they'll take a game but lose the series 2-1. I think they'll take game 1 and Rattlesnake will bounce back.
I'm gonna
Go ahead.
LD, can the analysts start talking? I'm gonna say 2-0 Rising Star. They're the more known team. They're experienced, and FD is gonna do the
Rattlesnake.
research, but I think experience comes through, especially in kind of these big stage match where people are more likely to choke. So Rising Star 2-0.
Actually, Rising Star 2-0. I can already call Lumi's prediction. Wrong.
Rattlesnake 2-0. My bad, guys. My bad.
They're dropping like flies, guys. Pretty soon it's just going to be me left here. Merlini's sure to fall next, but it's going to be Rattlesnake 2-0. This team is a beast. Even when they're off, they're scary, and I just don't think it's a good matchup for First Departure. Again, when you split push, it's a delicate dance. You really have to execute well, especially in the laning stage, and frankly, that's where Rattlesnake is going to eat them alive. As much as First Departure has played well in the past, they have not been in good form. Maybe if they have a pocket strategy, they take a game. But even that, I feel it's a long shot.
Yeah, I heard in an interview they did have other strategies prepared, but I think a team like Rattlesnake, with their experience and superior drafting abilities, will probably take this down 2-0. But we shall see. It looks like this game will be underway pretty
We're
shortly.
getting underway soon. As it's the nature with these servers, some of these games will be on the Perfect World server. I'm going to take the chance to actually blame someone else in the panel since I've had all this blame coming at me. Our resident host and head commentator has hosted the game on the wrong server.
That's God's. God's told me to host on Perfect World, so there I am. Guys, I'm going to get the right server set up right now. We'll be jumping very soon into Game 1 once I get done being fired and replaced. And, well, while we're waiting for that, I think I'm really interested to see how this match pans out. But I guess the big thing for me is, can First Departure have a good start? I feel like if they're going to have a chance, it's if they have one. If not, I just see them absolutely getting chewed apart.
Yeah, they just have a rough bracket overall, though. First, they got to play Rattlesnake, and even if they win, they still have to face another tough team to even advance to the finals bracket. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah, we'll be hopping in this game momentarily, guys. Do apologize for the delay. Actually, I say that as we're right on schedule now. I think the match should be starting soon. First Departure, we've pretty much talked everything through, guys. I think right now We're going to sort out all our problems, get Game 9 underway. We'll take a quick commercial break. Once we're back, guys, we'll be live with Game 1 between Rattlesnake and First Departure. So stay tuned, guys. All right, guys, welcome back. I think LD has hosted the correct game, which means we're going to be getting underway
Hell
soon.
yeah.
Well done, LD.
Do I get a pat on the back? I do.
Get some cookies. We have some in the kitchen.
Yeah, actually, big shout out to
Yeah.
my friend Amanda, who actually.
What up,
cooked
Pazookies?
those.
You didn't want the Pazuki.
Well, it's for you, not for me.
I don't need Pazukis, man. I'm trying to lose some weight.
Well, Dota. Let's talk Dota. As everyone knows, this is our first ever live studio broadcast. We've had some remodeling. I actually love our backdrop here. It's something we got.
Did you
custom
draw
done.
this? I see you were making some sketches upstairs.
No,
No?
I
I could have sworn
I
that.
can do a lot better than that.
Oh, okay. All right. next time.
I was disappointed in that result.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a fantastic spanking new broadcast studio, so big thanks to everyone who supported us through that. Of course, big thanks to some of our sponsors here, iBuyPower, who you can see on the laptops, as well as Twitch TV, who have been with us since the beginning, since we started back last March, and have made everything we're doing today possible. I mean, from the very start, they believed in us. They were a partner for our first tournament back over a year ago, and here we are, a year later. We are hosting part of the biggest event in the Dota 2 scene, the International. This is the Eastern Qualifier, and we're going to have our first live match coming up in just a second. It looks like the teams have now rejoined, so teams should be ready to get things underway here. Lumi, Rising Stars, not in this match, but
Rattlesnake. They're both RS.
yeah,
You know, yeah.
I remember like the Chinese websites trying to figure out the schedule for the D2SL, and I'm just like, wait, what's going on? Who are the RS and RSR? It's like this is way too much for me.
Yep, they are.
But it looks like both teams are going to be ready. Final predictions have been done. Any unusual heroes you think may come out? Any sort
Solo
of
mid
surprise
ogre,
grabs?
apparently. Solo mid punch, off lane punch, like all these. I'm not sure how much we could trust the recommended hero, but I hope they are true because I want to see some crazy
It's
stuff.
signature heroes. So I feel like some teams maybe have some former solo or carry players. So what happens is that their signature heroes are what they were known for when they were solo player. Now they're playing a support. You don't want to change your signature hero. Like imagine if you were famous for your solo mid Queen of Pain, and then you start
Imagine
playing support.
if you're solo mid famous for Zeus, but Zeus is not in this metagame. So
Well, we have someone who knows that feel.
Arteezy's bringing it back, man.
that's true.
He's bringing it
Happy
back.
Dota, road to TI4, guys.
Well, unfortunately for Kaipi, TI3 no longer on the agenda. But yeah, Solo Mid Zeus is one of the many things coming back. I don't think we'll be seeing a Solo Mid Zeus here by the Chinese
Unfortunately
team.
not, yeah.
I would love it if we did, but I don't think it's on the cards. Solo Mid Alchemist, maybe some other unusual picks coming our way from Team Rattlesnake. But
Solo mid ogre.
There you go.
And it seems I may have fucked up again because
I reconnect.
I don't think we have the 6-minute delay set up. So I don't know if I have to put the key in again, actually, every time we rehost. Do you guys know? Does anybody? Gods?
I have no idea. We should
Probably should rehost to be safe. So sorry, guys. I fucked up. We'll get it right moving forward. But we'll have a quick rehost just to make sure that we have the 6-minute delay in place. In the meantime, stay tuned. We will actually have a game for you guys today.
Fire
promise.
LD.
I don't know why I just pointed at the
Send
ceiling.
LD to the part 2 of that overlay school, which is hosting games now.
Good news is we get to remake. Much different from a lot of other Asian tournaments.
10-man battle plan.
Welcome back to the desk, guys. We're about to get underway with Game 1 of Rattlesnake versus First Departure, your debut match for the International 3 Eastern Qualifiers. This one is going to be a doozy. The game is now loading. I have managed to unfuck up that, which I messed up before. And of course, I couldn't have done it without my man, Merlini, on my left.
I'm best at blaming you.
Yeah.
And God's.
He's good.
It's my job.
He's just been sitting here like laughing at us every time we make a mistake, which is pretty much a constant uproar from him.
It's an analyst job.
We brought him here for the comedy, and he is certainly delivering so far.
Regardless, our first match should be an interesting one and a good one. First Departure versus Rattlesnake coming up in just a second. Not Rising Stars, as Luminous misdirected.
Can we just
some
move
of you
past that, please?
Lumi's getting a little tilted up. It looks like we should be loading in just about any second, but, I mean, again, to go back to the predictions, I think to break the series down very simply, Rattlesnake is going to take the fight to you. If anyone was watching Invictus Gaming back in the G1 League Season 4, I wouldn't say they run a face rush style. They will pick heroes that scale well late game, so they don't rely entirely on ganks, but it's an aggressive team. They're going to be looking for kills early. They're going to force you to fight, and you have to be prepared with wards, with good map awareness. If you're not, you're going to be in trouble. And with that being said, Merlini, we're finally ready to get inside Game 1 for the International 3 East Qualifiers. One team will move on to a guaranteed spot at the LAN Finals in Seattle. With that being said, well, we're going to hop inside the game soon, but in the meantime, we'll just think about doing it. And there we go. We're in the game now. We'll have our draft overlay soon. Looking beautiful. I'm just bugging Cal, our producer. He's doing a fantastic job. But, Merlini, draft's now underway. We can talk a little more about it. The teams have had a lot of time to think over the picks, the bans, and we're seeing a lot of standard Asian bans. We're seeing the Lone Druid ban very early here that sometimes slips through in the Western scene. Not something First Departure wants to give away to Rattlesnake because, again, Rattlesnake likes to be aggressive, but the backbone of that aggression is being able to push towers after it. And Lone Druid, strong hero that also does that.
Yeah, very top-tier hero in the Eastern scene, and no surprise there. So these bans are already getting underway. We see Magnus banned out by Rattlesnake Gaming, and Magnus is one of those heroes that fits very well into a split push strategy because he's one of the best turtlers in the game. Sure, you might lose a couple of T1s and maybe a T2, but if you want to break that base, you have to deal with RP. RP is just one of those ridiculous spells that if you hit a big RP, 4 or 5 man RP, it can just completely change the game around, and is perfect for turtling and for 4-on-5 strategies. So Rattlesnake Gaming will ban Magnus out as well as Batrider.
Yeah, some interesting bans, just making sure I have all my Dota TV audio set. Okay, should be good to go. And standard Asian bans. There's a Wisp left in the pool. That's sort of the one interesting hero that some of the Chinese teams have been picking. They normally don't first pick it. They won't even pick it in the first stage. But if it sticks around through the second stage of the draft, especially against First Departure, who love to split push, this is a hero that can ruin you. And no surprises here. First Departure go Shadow Demon first, kind of a safe standard opening. And Rattlesnake are going to snap up the Kabu Clockwork.
Yep, we talked about that during our player cards, and Kabu Clockwork, you said you haven't seen him lost a game with it.
I haven't seen him lose a game with it. He wins a lot. That's one thing we can say with absolute certainty. And Rattlesnake, they're very unusual with the Clockwork. Oftentimes, it's a 4-position support. That's what Kabu's been playing for the team. And they even do things like dual lanes. They've run a Clockwork Darkseer off-lane dual lane, and it's surprisingly effective. I think I saw Dignitas try to emulate that style. Didn't work quite as well for them. But if you can make it work, it's scary because these two heroes, as a dual lane, can actually deal with tri-lanes pretty damn well.
And First Departure's first pick is actually Shadow Demon. So hero that's kind of fallen into tier 2 category in the Western scene. I think this hero is just one of the best supports in the game. Just good offensive capabilities, defensive capabilities, doesn't need any items, does a lot of damage, can deal with BKB. He just has it all. And I really like that hero, and he just combos well, works well in triple lanes, aggressive strategies, and again, if you want to do a 4-on-5 split push strategy, works well into that too.
I mean, what else could we see? Rattlesnake, they've gone for the Darkseer Clockwork early. They might look to pick up that carry. Something like a Gyrocopter is a possibility, some sort of aggressive carry for them. The Alchemist was mentioned earlier in the pregame discussion. Sometimes they'll send that solo mid. The Clock could even go mid for this team, so it's very hard to predict their lanes. And when you have these heroes, it's already hard. When you're playing against Rattlesnake, it's even harder.
Yeah, it's very flexible lineup. We've seen Clockwork solo mid. We've seen him part of a triple lane. We've seen him off lane. He can really do anything. Darkseer can also be in part of a triple lane solo mid, off lane, as well as the jungle. So Rattlesnake Gaming's lineup is very flexible at this point, and we see First Departure pick up a Puck. So hero that's risen in popularity ever since the base damage buff, and just kind of outshines Quap in every area. A little bit more silence and control during team fights, better escape, and better initiate, and just ooh. And we see a Nature's Prophet pick up too.
A hint of split push. Not too much this early, which I like from First Departure. I feel if they go for something like the anti-mage in the first phase of the draft, that's where Rattlesnake can really punish them. But you get a Puck, you get a Shadow Demon, strong laning heroes, a Puck who can snowball mid, and well, we'll see who's going to snowball mid, because Rattlesnake, they have no qualms. They'll go right for the Queen of Pain, which I think you mentioned, and I kind of agree. Puck has a bit of an advantage in that matchup. Maybe not overwhelming, but with phase shift timing, especially on the Singapore server, First Departure should have great pings, could maybe look to kind of win that matchup. But they'll need that Puck to do a lot, because as much as Prophet offers more than an anti-mage or other split pushers early, it's still not really a hero that can dominate the laning stage in most cases.
Yeah, I think Puck's a really good pick versus line because they don't really have any lockdown. They have no silence and only hookshot as their main stun